Alright, good morning, guys. Okay, so I really don't see any overextended short setups. That's kind of bumming me out. I wish I would have seen more. Maybe there'll be some more in pre-market, but I'm watching LFIN. I mean, I guess I could look at this one for an overextended short. This thing's up a pretty big amount. Yesterday, it ran up from where it opened up at about $12 all the way to $22.50. Gapping up some more right now at $22.40. Broke that previous high. That's going to be a big support and resistance area right there at 22.30 or 22.50. What's up, Tiny? Good morning, man. Good morning, NYC. 7, Gary, Matt. So yeah, Gary, let me go over these pre-market stocks and then I'll kind of walk you through it. Still kind of looking for some gappers. I think a lot of the stocks in the market right now are following the SPY, and so there's not that many up gappers just because you can see the SPY here is washing out. Gap down to 261. The TVIX is pushing up because of it. You can see gapping up to 1025. It's at 965 now. But I'm keeping an eye on some of these stocks. Watching MFGP. CPST as well. Gonna look to see if it can hold over this 150 zone. Good morning, Alba. SMRT. Kind of. Not really. Not too much volume. It had a nice push yesterday, though. What's up, Burham? What's up, man? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add my watch list to the chat, and I'll kind of slowly add stocks to it as I see it moving. But yeah, what's up, Brum? How you doing, man? There's OPTT, looks interesting as well. But yeah, with the SPY down so much, I think a lot of the stocks are just kind of simply following the market. We'll see if we can get any more bounces or anything like that. What's up, JT? What's up, dude? MNKD. Alright, so there's my watch list. I'm going to slowly add stocks to it. But first, let's see if any of these are actually tradable on here. I was hoping OGEN would be, but it's not. OPTT is though, LFIN is, CPST is not, TVIX is, MFGP is, NOG is not, DWT is, CATB is, and MNKD is. So let's see, there's 3 stocks on my watch list out of 10 are not tradable on TradeNet. The other 7 out of these 10 stocks are actually tradable, so that's good. But the ones I want to trade aren't tradable. I wanted to trade OGEN. I guess I'm just gonna have to watch OPTT. Maybe try to use a little bit larger share size for potential short or for potential long if it does break that 117 pre-market high. It's kind of what I'm looking for. Just gonna kind of react to it and watch it in the morning. Maybe watching LFIN for a short, depending on how it acts at the open. If I do decide to get in LFIN, I'm going to use a pretty small share size just because I got to be careful with it. How far do you look ahead? Everything I found is already done for the day by the opening bell. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that kind of is exactly kind of what my trading style is. You know, you'll see these big gappers. And by the time the opening bell rolls around, they're pretty overextended, and so I just like to short them when they break the low of the day. One I tried to short yesterday, and I actually got into, I just didn't have the patience or the share size to profit from, was, what was it? What's the one I traded yesterday, guys? What's up, Ben? Happy Friday, man. What's up, Joshua? LFIN in legal trouble. Oh, yeah, GCAP is one. You gotta see this one. And this one's tradable, so that's good. So yeah, 8 out of 11 stocks this morning are tradable. But yeah, what was the one I was watching yesterday? Let me see if I can find it. this? CASI. Trying to think of the stock that I got into yesterday. It may have been CASI. I don't think it was though. Oh well. Can't remember what stock I got in yesterday, but one of the ones I traded yesterday was decent. But yeah, I'm gonna watch GCAP as well. Few gappers here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add my watch list to the chat if I haven't. Oh, actually I did already, sorry. LFIN in legal trouble. No, I don't think it was TENX. I can't remember the one I traded yesterday. But regardless, I was up about 20 or 25 cents. And so I've kind of made a mental note. Is at least when I see these overextended short setups, I need to use larger sizing. My confidence is pretty high with those setups. I can make, 15 to 20 cents per share and take advantage of it. And so, I got to use a little bit larger sizing. It's just about that time for me to do that, All right, so let's look and see why some of these stocks are moving like they're moving. Right, that was it, Astro. Appreciate it. CHFS. CHFS, I got in this one at like 205, I think, if I remember correctly. So I got in, or no, at 305. I got in right here. And it went all the way down to 284 after I got, I think I exited it for a very tiny gain, but it was a loss after commissions. But I could have made what was that? 22 cents per share, or 20 cents per share, and so it would have been a nice gain, even if I would have just gotten 15 cents, which I was up that much at one point in time. I was just waiting for larger profits, and for only, a $3 stock, 20 cents a share is actually a really good gain, and I just need to use big enough share size to take advantage of that big move, you know what I mean? And so from now on, when I see an overextended setup, I'm going to try to short it, but I'm going to try to use a little bit larger sizing so I can actually, take advantage of the market move. Unfortunately, I really don't see any setups like that this morning. I don't see many overextended setups. Maybe LFIN, but this thing was parabolic yesterday. And so, I like the overextended short setup, but when a stock is acting like LFIN, you just never know how far this thing is going to go up. And I don't want to be caught in a short squeeze as it continues to push higher and higher, Good morning, Sean. SNOA, SI. Here, I'm going to look up to see what the news story is on some of these. Let's look at OGEN first. Alright, so OGEN's not showing me any news story. Maybe it's up. Let's look at the daily with OGEN. See maybe why it's pushing up like this. So this thing could very easily continue. You can see when it spikes, the last few times this thing spiked, it spiked hard. And so I'm looking for this one to potentially run a little bit. Just because usually when it spikes hard. So maybe jump in on Robinhood or something like that. Let's see. LFIN. I know there's a lot of stories going on about this one. It's probably the biggest stock in play right now. LFIN. And I mean, it had something come out on the 5th, so yesterday. Not really any catalyst per se for LFIN. I'm sure there is one. I just think that Thinkorswim isn't updating it. Let's look at OPTT. Alright, so OPTT is to highlight its anchorless power buoy at Global Maritime Exposition. So it's basically presenting a product which is a anchorless power buoy. My dad is a sailor, or likes sailing, so that's the only reason I know how to pronounce buoy. At Global Maritime Exposition. And so that's good news. Maybe a little bit of a puff piece. Gonna watch to see, maybe for a short, depending on how it acts. Even if it does drop, it doesn't give me too much room to mess around with it. And so we'll see what happens. Just gonna try to react to what I see. As for GCAP, Gain Capital Holdings Inc., today reported certain operating metrics for the month of March. And so apparently it had good metrics, and thus is why it's gapping up some. My next one I'm watching is TVIX, but the reason TVIX is up is because the SPY is down. And so you can see these follow each other really well. The TVIX is simply a volatility ETF. And so, but a lot of the times it follows the SPY, and you can see it kind of, you know, if you put them side to side, they look like opposites of each other. And so when the SPY pushes up, many times the TVIX pushes down, and vice versa. Like today, when the SPY washes, the TVIX pushes up. Yeah, let's look at MFGP. MFGP doesn't really have any news to talk about either. Next one I'm watching is NOG, which is actually down. It's sitting right at the $0.50. Gonna look for a possible rebound play, maybe a continuation short if it drops under 140. We'll see. And this one, so this is an offering. Northern Oil and Gas prices offering of 58.6 million shares at $1.50 per share. So an offering at 150. This thing probably won't move at all. Probably gonna take it off my watch list, just because when the stock has an offering like that, especially when it's at a specific price, it usually just doesn't move that much. DWT. Not really any news to say about this one. CPST was one I was watching last night. It's at 154. Doesn't really have any catalyst either. It just moved a lot yesterday, and so we'll see if it holds over 150 and continues. Last one on my list is MNKD. I'm about to check the chat in a second, guys. Let's look at MNKD for the last one. Alright, so this is another offering as well. It says MNKD shares sank 15% pre-market trade Friday after the maker of inhaled therapeutic products announced a direct offering of 14 million shares and warrants to buy an additional 14 million. The shares and warrants, which are exercisable at $2.38 a share 6 months after issuance, were being sold together to select healthcare dedicated institutional investors at a price of $2 for one share and one warrant. And so this is another offering as well. That's why it's down. And so we'll see what happens. Biggest watch, LFIN. Maybe GCAP, depending on how it acts. But it's, you know, I would have preferred it for it to stay up there around 775. We'll see what happens. See if it has a slight push at the open, and then maybe a washout breaking the low of the day. It's kind of what I'm looking for with it. But I don't know exactly what it's going to do. I'm just going to try to react to what I see happen. Yeah, for sure. LFIN, you know, probably is a sketchy short, just because anytime a stock goes parabolic like this, it has the potential to keep going. And this one specifically, you can see has run up to 142 last December. And so, you know, anytime a stock's this parabolic, it could always do it again. And you can see how much it was down in the last few days. It was down from 75 all the way to under 10. And so it's back up now. We'll see if it starts to rebound some and continues. Really a volatile stock here, so I'm going to be careful with it. Not necessarily going to jump into it. Watching GCAP, though. Yeah, today is slow, salty. Kind of bummed out about it. I was really looking forward to trying to use a little bit larger share size. But if I don't see any premium setups like overextended shorts that I, you know, specifically like, I'm just going to kind of be very careful with my trading. Can't just jump in because, you know, just because I want to. I gotta wait for A+ setups. And if I don't see any A+ setups, I need to just sit back and wait, you know. Oh yeah, my Robinhood account is down a ton. I forgot to sell one of them yesterday. It's at 140 now. And my LABD put is not doing great. It should push up some in pre-market though, or in at the open. You see my Robinhood account's at 140. It's just the call I have on LABD. We'll see if it, but LABD is just a slight gap where I'm looking for it to fall. I still have until April to sell it, so I'm just gonna let it work. See what happens. OGEN still pushing up. If I do get into a trade on Robinhood, it will probably be OGEN, just because as you can see by the chart, this one has a history of spiking hard. You can see it did it here, it did it here, so usually it follows through with its spikes. I can't say for certain if it will, but it followed through here up to 680, and so when this thing spikes, it usually spikes pretty hard, and so I'm going to be watching OGEN closely at the open for a potential long play. It could end up heading down. You never know, but that's kind of what I'm looking for with it right now. Also kind of keeping an eye on INCY. A little bit more expensive of a stock, but you can see this thing's gapping down from 83 all the way to 64. So pretty big, significant gap down for this one. We'll see what happens, but gapping down 25% is never really a good thing. We'll see if it can rebound. Maybe if it breaks under that 64 level, it may be a short, but this thing's down so much. I'm definitely long biased with it. Same thing with NKTR. It's doing the same thing. NLNK down to 440 from 732. Kind of same idea with this one. Let me make sure I can trade these. Yeah, so I can trade these. So kind of same thing. Gapping down from 732 all the way to 437. What's up, Track Racer? What's up, Matt? Why did MNKD fall overnight? Let's look it up. Oh yeah, it's an offering, guys. So MNKD fell because of an offering. It's a direct offering of 14 million and warrants to buy an additional 14 million shares. The shares and warrants, which are exercisable at $2.38 a share, 6 months after issuance, were being sold together to select healthcare dedicated institutional investors at a price of $2. So it's an offering on MNKD. It may not move at all. We'll see what happens. But this thing's down a big amount because of that offering. LFIN still pushing up pretty strong here. And I mean, it's got a lot of room to go on the upside. You can see LFIN, this thing, you know, a few weeks ago, this thing was at $75. And so it's down to 19 now. Well, it's at 23 now, right? Or 24. But, you know, it was down so much already. This thing's bound to rebound. Yeah, here in Texas, I mean, the weather's okay. It's not cold. It's not really hot. You know, it's probably about 70 degrees outside. So not a bad day. Market's slow today. I was hoping the market would be a little bit more active since it's Friday. But yeah, hopefully we get some more momentum movers. I'm definitely a little long biased today with some of these stocks just because, you know, I don't see any overextended setups really. Yeah, I've been using FinViz a little bit in pre-market as well, just toying around with it. See if we can find some little penny stocks. WLB moving up some. JONE I moving. AKER WFT. Just looking at some pennies right now. SNOA. TNTR maybe. I mean, this thing's sitting right at 2. I may add this to my other monitor and kind of watch TNTR. Let's see what happens with some of these. OGEN is one of the main ones I'm watching just because, like I said, it has a previous history of pushing up some. Nice miss. Usually the market has decent volume on Friday, and a lot of stuff will be gapping and running in pre-market. This morning, it's honestly a little slow. There's not too many setups, you know. Probably has something to do with the market crashing so much. You can see the SPY gap down a pretty big amount overnight last night after a run yesterday. Really a break-even day, kind of a choppy day yesterday, but you can see it gap down a pretty big amount. But LFIN is kind of the outlier here. It's starting to push up nicely, even though everything else is kind of slow. Up to 25.25 now. Sorry, discount here. I'll bring it a little bit closer. Is that better? Yeah, I'll bring the mic a little bit closer. Sorry about that. Good morning, Atheon. What's up, man? Yeah, I like Trade Ideas, Ben. Like I said, I said a few days ago, I don't think Trade Ideas is completely necessary, especially when you have stuff like StockMarketWatch.com, FinViz, and really the stream chat. We call out most of what's moving in the stream chat, but I mean, at the same time, I still like Trade Ideas. But is it completely necessary for a new trader to pay that $100 a month? I don't think so. If you have the money, it's a good tool. If not, it's not the end of the world. There's lots of other options like FinViz, Stock Market Watch, this stream chat, lots of other options. So I don't think it's completely necessary, but I do like Trade Ideas. Are you in, Amy? Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks extended up in the last few weeks, months, really. The last few months, it's up from 502, or it's up from about 502 to almost $10, over $10 at one point. The problem is that you got to wait for, a significant red day in this one because it'll have little pullbacks. So you never really know when it's actually going to run like you want it to. I mean, it's gapping down some, and it could easily continue, but, kind of hard to guess when it's actually going to turn around and start heading down the other way. LFIN, big pullback here. It's down to 23.80. So big pullback down from 25.30s. Yeah, that's the only problem I have with FinViz, Ben, is that, it doesn't show you pre-market movers. There's no option to look at pre-market. Usually it's a day before. So like if you look at the scanner, a lot of the times the stocks you're looking at are from the previous day's gapping session. So if you search for gaps in FinViz, it's going to show you yesterday's gaps, which is kind of useless, honestly. All right, so watching OGEN, CPST, OPTT, but I just don't see any of those big overextended setups that I necessarily like. I'm still going to watch for low of the day breaks. Low of the day breaks will still work many times, even if it's not as extended, but they definitely have more reliability when they're extended on the upside. And so, unfortunately, I just don't see any of those today. Yeah, I use stockmarketwatch.com. You know, it shows you the gappers with the percentage that's gapping up in pre-market. There's an after-hour section, a pre-market section. And so stockmarketwatch.com, I've been using it for months, and it's pretty decent. So I just use that and then kind of use my other scanners and trade ideas to see what's moving. Just there's not too much in the market right now. Kind of bummed out about it. See what the Spotify IPO is doing. Kind of bummed out about GCAP. I wanted it to keep up or maybe watch it under 7, but I think it's going to have a lot of support at 7. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, but not my favorite. Honestly, the biggest watch is LFIN, just to kind of see what it does, see if it continues here. A lot of down gappers today, though, so going to be watching the plan. The kind of trade for today is going to be gap down reversals to fill the gap going up. So you can see an LNK, INCY. There's a few other ones, MNKD. So I'm going to see if some of these head back up, maybe reverse. EYEG is one I missed, gapping up some as well. Hold on 1 second, guys. Alright, that was my wife saying she forgot to give me back my debit card and asking me if it's okay if she takes it with her to run errands. Now she's going to spend a ton of money on it, but I guess that's okay. Looking at PTN. But yeah, EYEG starting to get a little bit of volume here. It's definitely extended. Maybe PTN here as well. Really, I'm just looking for long setups. But EYEG looks interesting. You can see it's gapping up. It's starting to pick up some volume actually right now. So, gonna keep watching it. And OGEN. I mean, I wish I could short OGEN here, but I don't think it's. I think it's actually gonna push up just because it has a previous history of running. So we'll see how it acts. Alright, so we'll see what happens with EYEG. It's starting to push up some. PTN long going to $10, Maze. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see if that happens. It's a low floater, so seriously doubtful. But hey, look, it's been looking good the last what is that? Last 6-7 months or so. It's been on a pretty big run, so I mean, we'll see what happens. It's slowly creeped up from, it looks like about 30 cents in September to $1.20 something now, so nice move on it. We'll see if it continues. Looks like a high float stock. You can see the level 2 is just stacked with stuff, and so float looks a little bit larger. You can also see when a stock looks like this and it has kind of these choppy back and forth action, it usually has a bigger float. Alright, so EYEG is probably a new one that's one of my biggest watches. It's gapping up from 39 cents all the way to 67 right now, so big move. What's up, Power Zone? I'm all out. Blew my second $700 account, 6 weeks. Hopefully next time will last me longer. Yeah, man, it just takes time. You know, you're going to have to pay the market some tuition, especially when you're first getting started, man. So it's going to happen. You know, you probably lasted longer with that $700 than most people would. So, you know, don't sweat too much about it. 1,400 in 6 weeks. Yeah, maybe use smaller sizing, you know, and until you're consistently profitable, and then kind of up your share size when you get ready. Alright, guys, well, we got about 8 minutes until the open. SPY getting knocked around. Yeah, SPY's been a little choppy and crazy. I mean, I'm going to watch to see if it bounces down to that 261 level and then hold support there. We'll see what happens with it, though. I'm watching MFGP as well. There's just not that much I really like this morning, honestly. Just not too much. Maybe if MFGP looks a little extended. Let me look. No, not really. I'm actually, you know, long biased with this one. 1572. LFIN starting to have a pretty big pullback here. There's just not that much that looks good. Good morning, True. What's up, man? That's the most important thing, Power Zone, as long as you learned a lot, man. Yeah, you know, the market's going to take a tuition from everybody, especially when they first get started. That's what I try to tell new traders. Like, if you're a brand new trader, never traded before, you know, want to get started trading, you know, understand that your first deposit is most likely going to be gone very, very quickly unless you start using really small sizing from the get-go. But regardless of what happens, your first account is going to be gone most likely. And so you have to be okay with losing your first account. Every trader pays a market tuition. And I'm not talking about paying for a day trading course. I'm talking about having the experience in the market, and you're probably going to lose your first account. And you got to be okay with that. And so you can't trade with money that you need. You know, you have to be okay with losing it. Yeah, Track Racer. I've done that a lot, man. I've kind of pairs traded the SPY and the TVIX. When the SPY pushes up, the TVIX usually drops and vice versa. And so you can see the SPY gapping down and the TVIX is following up. The best time to trade the TVIX SPY pairs trade is when the market in the SPY is really, really volatile. You know, that's the best time to pairs trade it, because that's when I've had the best success. If the market's slow and choppy, it's really tough to pairs trade the TVIX and the SPY. So you have to wait for a decent amount of volatility, especially considering that the TVIX is a volatility ETF. it follows the market volatility. You can see here the TVIX, it says velocity shares. It's a volatility ETF, and so it follows volatility, not necessarily the SPY. And so when the market is really slow, the TVIX isn't going to follow the SPY as well. It's just going to kind of be choppy, and thus harder to trade. Nakia asks, would you recommend investing in a course? How did you learn? Here's the thing. Like, if you're going to trade with a small account, meaning you don't have 25 grand to invest, some of these courses are pretty cheap or pretty expensive. 4 or 5 grand for a day trading course. It's just kind of, that's kind of out there. I wouldn't, but everybody's different. If you have the money and you're okay with paying for it, some of these day trading courses I'm sure are pretty decent. But at the same time, at least in my opinion, you can learn a majority of stuff that these courses teach for free on YouTube. And I'm not even necessarily talking about my channel. I'm just saying there's so much good resources out there that, at least for me, I don't think it's necessary to pay 4 or 5 grand for a day trading course. I think there's enough free info out there for you to learn for free. Regardless of whether you take a day trading course or not, most new traders are going to lose their first account, regardless of if they pay for a course or not. I just think if they pay for a course, they're going to be out, 6 grand instead of 3 for the day trading course. So it's all up to you. I think you can learn most of that stuff for free online, but I do think there are decent courses out there. So it's just about whether it's worth it for you. That's right, Power Zone. It's all about learning, man. Right, exactly, Track. On a big run in either direction on the TVIX and the SPY, that's where money's to be made. Appreciate it, Track, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, man, you can find most of the stuff on the internet, man. We're in 2018. Everything's, on the internet nowadays. And so I just think you can learn, basically the same on the internet. Sure, a course might expedite your trading, but it's just about whether paying those thousands of dollars for that course is worth expediting it for, however long it takes. So it's all up to the trader. If you have the money, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. You can learn everything for free for sure. All right, market's opening up in a minute and a half. Hopefully we get a few decent setups. I can't pronounce your name. I'm just going to call you Maple. Maple, this is Thinkorswim. It's TD Ameritrade's charting software. It's free if you open up an account with them. I just like using it for my charts, and so that's why I keep it up. Right, when you have enough money, that's one thing to pay for a course. But if you don't have the money, I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend a course. You know, Appreciate it, Track, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not a professional investor. You always have to make your own assessment of the market. Not liable for any losses anybody takes, but I try to give people my honest opinion on stuff. All right, market's opening up in 30 seconds. Let's get ready. Hopefully we get some good setups. All right, here goes the market open in 5 seconds. Good luck, everyone. All right, there's the open. GCAP all the way back down to 7. Going to be watching EYEG for a pre-market high break here. Alright, I bought 100 shares of EYEG. The reason I bought it is because it just broke the pre-market high. You can see it's up to 80 cents now. We'll see if it can continue. If not, I'll bail out of it. See if we can get up there. Big pullback down to 70 though. If this thing starts to wash, it's going to wash hard, and I don't know if I necessarily trust it now, especially after that big drop. Yeah, I don't see too much else I really like. Kind of watching EYEG here. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Here, I'll take your advice. What's a good stop for this one? Yeah, it's time to get out of this one, honestly. No, no, no. Oh, man. No, I'm stuck in it. This is the only problem I have with Robinhood. It's that it's just difficult to navigate. It's time to get out, though. Alright, I'm out. $7 loss, I think. Look, there goes OGEN, guys. I'm kind of bummed out I used my day trade on EYEG. Look at this washout long setup with OGEN. Remember, guys, I said I was definitely long biased with this one because you can see the chart. Whenever this thing spikes, it spikes hard. So that's the importance of using the daily chart. And you can see OGEN is following the same exact pattern. And so that was the play to get into, unfortunately. I don't have any day trades left on Robinhood, so I can't get into it. But you can see what I was kind of looking for with it. MFGP starting to push here. Gonna wait for maybe a 1 minute pullback setup with this one. And GCAP having a little bit of a washout long setup here. Or not GCAP, LFIN. There's the break. Maybe INCY for a washout long. But yeah, I wish I could trade OGEN. I called this one out in pre-market, said I thought it was going to go up because, again, guys, if you want to see how you kind of use the daily chart when you're trading, if you look at OGEN here, you can see the daily chart. When it spikes, it follows through. And so on this date, in January 24th, it spiked and it followed through for the next few days. Here, the next time it spiked hard, on March 5th, it spiked and it followed through for the next few days. And then this is just another example of it. OGEN, it spiked yesterday and then it's following through today, up to $3 already. So big move already. Really good example of a long setup and a washout long. The entry here would have been right here when it broke here, maybe right here at the pre-market high break. And so good example of what I look for with a long setup. MNKD continues to fall. Maybe wait for it to form a low of the day here. NEAT, N-E-T-E. Maybe time to short this one too. All right, so I'm watching NETE right here under this 868 level. See if it follows through and fulfills here. LFIN's acting really choppy, a little shady. NIHD. Yeah, NIHD, I completely missed this one, man. Look at this run it made. It's giving it back now, but look at that miss. Appreciate it, NYC. All right, so I'm going to try to use a little bit larger sizing. Maybe jump in NEAT here when it breaks the low. All right, so I'm in NETE, big drop. It looks like I got a good fill on it, but this thing bounced back nicely. And TradeNet looks like it's lagging a little bit with updating the charts. See if we can keep cracking under. There we go. Down to under 850. Just a huge spread on it, honestly, which is the only thing that concerns me with NETE. Spread's monstrous. I need the spread to loosen up a little bit. You see it's acting a little crazy now. Man, look at the spread on NETE. Not really what I want to see. See if we get a low of the day break and a tank here. It's just the crazy spread on it. All right, you can see OGEN still pushing here. LFIN crashing down some, guys. OGEN testing 3. There's the 3 break. Still pushing up strong at 308 OGEN. Really wish I would have saved my 1-day trade for that one. Alright, the spread's tightening up a little bit with NETE. Ugh, gross. Worst time for the spread to tighten up. I'm going to bail out there for a 690 loss before the spread gets worse. We'll see if it continues to head down, and it easily may. This is one that I just don't like trading. Of course, it falls down immediately after. APRI. Yeah, the reason I got out of NETE here is because the spread is bouncing back and forth between, you know, it's at 840. The bid's at 840. The ask is at 860 or 865. So it's a 25-cent spread. So that's just a little bit too large for me to really want to mess with. You know, now it's starting to get worse. And also my thinkorswim's lagging a little bit with it. Maybe try updating my thinkorswim settings. PTN. Yeah, PTN looks good. Nice little washout long setup there. Up to 127. It just doesn't have a big range though for PTN. But yeah, you can see OGEN was the play. Again, you can look at the daily chart and see why I was definitely long biased with this one in pre-market. You can see earlier on in the daily chart in January when it spiked, it followed through all the way up to 4 something. The next time it spiked early March, it spiked, followed through all the way up to 4 something again. And then today when it spiked, it's following through up to $3 right now. We'll see if it can keep going. But yeah, the spread on NETE is just not really what I look for. You know, this is a good example on EYEG of an overextended short as well. I got in long because it broke the pre-market high, but it immediately failed. But once it broke the low of the day, I think this would have been a good entry here at 65 cents. 1,000 shares, Matt. I think it's 0.006 cents per share. So if you look at it, 0.006 times 1,000 is $6 plus $6 per round trip, or $6 per trade. So $12 for a round trip with 1,000 shares on TradeNet. PTN. Honestly, if NETE spread wasn't too crazy, I probably would have tried to hold through this push and wait for another low of the day break. The spread's just too ridiculous with it. You know, it's got a 10 to 20 cent spread, and with my small account, that's not what I like, because that means it can swing up or down really, really quick. Yeah, I didn't look at the daily on EYEG either. Yeah. Especially with this little resistance area there. MFGP. Yeah, I'm watching MFGP. It's slowly grinding up, having a little bit of a flag pattern there. But yeah, honestly, I still think NETE is going to break this low of the day and fall. But the spread's too crazy for me to like, stay in, for me to like or stay into. BWEN, guys. Check out BWEN. Flagging nicely. BWEN. It's not tradable on TradeNet, but you can see it's flagging nicely. Has some good news, apparently. Let's see. But yeah, OGEN was the play with this washout long. Just couldn't trade it on TradeNet, unfortunately, or I definitely would have jumped into that. Called it out in pre-market. Said I thought it was going to go up, especially looking at the daily chart. Let's see what else. SEND, SEND, after a gap up, running some, after a very small gap. Yeah, it looks like OGEN is running into resistance at 3. And so the only really entry I like with this one was right here for this washout long once it broke over this 232 level. LFIN still pushing here. Alright, so LFIN breaking the high of the day. Still going on a little bit of a run here. We'll see what happens. LFIN is one of those stocks that's been so volatile in the last few days. I just don't trust it necessarily. SPY. Let's see what the SPY's doing. SPY's rebounding some. TVIX should be falling. Yeah, falling some and then pulling back up. LFIN still pushing up to 25.70. Got all the way up to 25.90. SEND is still pushing up nicely as well. Kind of watching INCY for a possible rebound play here. Starting to head back up. Maybe if it breaks this high at 80, at 20, at 66.80, maybe get into it. LFIN breaking over 26, showing some strength. What did GCAP ever end up doing? Yeah, but today's just a good example of why I should stick to my niche in the market. I've had awesome success shorting these overextended gappers, and there just wasn't any overextended gappers today, but I entered a trade anyway. And so, kind of a lesson learned for me. I got to stick to what I'm good at, and shorting overextended stocks is what I'm good at. And so, unfortunately, I didn't see any overextended gappers in the market. Took a trade anyway. Lesson learned. I'm just hoping, the summer months are going to start rolling around and the volume's going to start getting more and more light. And so I'm just hoping we get a few decent setups. And if not, I hope I have the patience to wait for them. OGEN falling down pretty hard here. Yeah, Atheon, sometimes I do. Not very often, though. Buy blue chip stocks. APRI. AYTU. Yeah, I missed AYTU. It's having a little run. Kind of slowly grinding up. But yeah, honestly, NETE is a good example of why I should use larger share size as well. Let's see, where did I get into NET at? Let me see if I could find it. 856 is where I got into NET at. So I got in right here. And it eventually went down to 833. So 23 cents a share is what I was up at one point in time. I just didn't take big enough sizing to take advantage of it and ended up waiting too long. PTN. Yeah, PTN just has such a tiny range. You know, it's only up 8 cents on the day. LFIN still trying to push, still looking kind of strong here. Trying to get over 26 now. There goes breaking 26 up to 26.07, falling right back down. Yeah, I believe you, Track. I definitely believe you. A lot of these stocks are like LFIN, MARA, DPW. Like these blockchain stocks, most of the time they end up coming all the way back down. Yeah, PTI trying to get a little bit of a spike here. Very low volume though. I'm just hoping the summer months aren't here and the market's going to start being really slow and really choppy. RIOT. Yeah, RIOT trying to push up as well. MFGPs probably showed the most strength this morning aside from OGEN. MFGPs just been steadily pushing up. Maybe MNKD for a short, but it's just down so much already. Trying to break under that low of the day of 183. ACCA. Yeah, it's an OTC stock, so unfortunately I can't trade it. Yeah, same. I mean, I'm watching LFIN on its run, but I'm not touching it. Just too sketchy. Alright, so LABD is starting to come down to where I wanted it to. Alright, you can see NET starting to fall down. Like I said, I think this one will eventually break the low of the day and continue on its way down. ALDR trying to spike some. SEND pulling back some here. But yeah, the spread on NETE just needs to tighten up a little bit. Right now the spread's from 865 to 879, basically 880. So 15-cent spread, just a little bit too big for me. AYTU. Yeah, AYTU's looking decent as well. Had that little spike. Yeah, 7, you've been talking about AKER for a while. Good job, Joshua. Nice trade, bro. Yeah, LFIN continues here. These parabolic movers, you know. So took a small loss on TradeNet today. We'll see what happens. Kind of patiently waiting. For now on, I'm probably just going to stick to what I do the best, which is shorting overextended stocks. And I got to wait to see those overextended stocks before I get in. MDR trying to push up some. It is at 597 after a little consolidation period. Yeah, I gotta tell myself not to chase LFIN. HOME been on a little bit of a run today as well. CPST, this thing just tanked at the open. You can see a huge drop. Trying to get back over 148 now, but if I could short it, I probably would. Yeah, so apparently LFIN is hard to borrow as well, so not that many shorts available. And so kind of hard for people to even get in short if they want to. I mean, I could get in short if I wanted to on TradeNet, but aside from that, anybody with a conventional broker is going to have a tough time shorting it apparently. I can't trade OGE in Atheon. You're addicted to buying and selling it, usually for a 30-cent gain and a $3 loss. Yeah, Atheon, but my style with trading is waiting for a stock to gap up in an overextended way. Like, I want to see an overextended gap up. And the best example is kind of looking at EYEG. I know I couldn't short this one, and I actually took the long side when it broke the pre-market high. But honestly, that's just because I was looking to trade something, and I couldn't short it. But you can see it gapped up a huge amount. And when it finally broke under this low right here at 65 cents, it tried to push back over it, held as resistance, and then washed out, and it continues to fall. And so that's kind of a good example of what I like shorting, what I kind of look for when I short stocks. Thanks for the subscribe, the big row. Appreciate it, man. Welcome. And so I got a very specific kind of niche setup where I like to see stocks gap up over 10%, and I like to short them after that. An example is CHFS from yesterday. You can see CHFS gapped up. Let's see. CHFS gapped up a huge amount. When the open happened, it just crashed. This is what I like shorting, maybe under this support right there. Or if it's the 1 minute chart, I guess I could use the 2 minute chart. If it's the 2 minute chart, getting in when it breaks the low of the day. So that's kind of my go-to setup, and I just didn't see any this morning. Alright, so watching INCY here, trying to get over the high of the day. Yeah, sometimes. Not as much, though, Atheon. I like to kind of stick with a very specific setup. And it doesn't happen every day. I just got to tell myself if I don't see it not to force any B- setups, you know. Alright, so I might jump in INCY here. It's breaking over the high of the day. Trying to see what kind of share size I should buy with it. Maybe 20 shares if I have enough buying power to do that. Maybe 10 shares, probably best. Alright, so I'm in INCY with 10 shares. Gotta give it a little bit of time, and if not, bail out of it. I just like that high of the day break in it, especially since it's down so much. There's 67. We'll see if we can get over 67 and hold. There's a 67 break. Nice. Alright, so I got out for a 650 gain. I'll take it. Bring my losses down a little bit on the day. Probably should have held it a little while longer, but I'll take the little gain. But yeah, you can see kind of a huge gap down when it breaks the high of the day. That's kind of my cue to jump in. And it ended up working out. Probably should have taken a little bit larger share size, but not upset with taking profits when I had them. No shorting on Robinhood Maple. Yeah, definitely should have held INCY. As you can see, this thing's pushing up big. But I'll take my small profit. And you can see, guys, like I said earlier, I thought NETE would eventually come back down to test that low of the day. It didn't break it, but I still think it's going to end up coming back down, dropping under the low, and washing out. And so, you know, it's just about whether I had the guts to hold it through this big push up to 9, which I don't know if I would have been able to. But, you know, definitely, you know, it definitely did what I thought it would. It just took a little bit longer. But yeah, I should have held INCY, but I mean, I'm okay with taking profits when I did. Now I'm only basically down commissions on the day. And there goes NETE. Would have been a nice trade. Just don't know if I would have had the guts to hold it through that push back up to 9. Yeah, there it goes. There's the wash on NETE, which is exactly what I thought would happen. The spread tightened up a little bit. Thinking about getting in NETE here for a low of the day short. I guess just worried it's going to pop back up to 9. Sitting right around there now. Would have been a nice trade. Look at that. Drop down to 830. So yeah, if you watched the stream earlier, even after I exited NETE, I said I thought it would eventually drop back down and break this low. I just didn't have the patience to hold through that push to that $9 test. And so it would have been a profitable trade as well, which gives me a little bit more confidence that I was able to kind of predict this drop down here to the low of the day. But I think a better plan with these type of setups on NETE is waiting for this push back up and then jumping in here. Don't know if I necessarily want to chase it though. Looks a little unpredictable, and yeah, as I say that, it pushes up to 850. MNKD is continuing to fall down here. So is LFIN halted? Yeah, so LFIN is halted apparently. Either that or Thinkorswim is just lagging. Yeah, that's why I figured it's halted. Chris, yeah, I'm still trying to use bigger sizing. The time I'm going to use bigger sizing, though, is when I see my kind of overextended short setup. If I don't see my overextended short setup, I'm still going to use small sizing just because I have the most experience and the best results with that overextended short setup. And so when I don't see it and I'm getting into a long trade, for instance, I don't have the confidence to use bigger sizing, but it's definitely something I need to work on. Like for instance, NETE, I would have been up 25 cents per share on NETE if I would have used bigger sizing with it. And so maybe that's a clue. I should use bigger sizing. I just don't know if I would actually have the patience to hold through that pop back up to 9. But at the same time, at one point in NETE, I was up 25 cents a share. So, if I was trading with 1,000 shares, that would have been 250 gain, and so forth and so on. And so I just have to work up the guts to use bigger sizing. But honestly, I'm not too upset. I'm using small sizing still, especially when I already have a loss on the day. But you can see NETE did exactly what I thought it would, and now it's starting to tank, down to 810. And so I just need to have the patience, I think. And I'm still kind of tweaking my trading style, so I'll get there. A call-in number so your subscribers can call in as well. What do you mean by that, JT? Oh, I know, Power Zone. I have to use bigger sizing. The thing about it is that I should only use bigger sizing with my preferred setups. If I don't see anything I really, really like, then I need to just stick with small sizing. Now, I could have made a lot more on INCY apparently, but honestly, since the stock is like a $66 stock, I don't know if I would have really had the account equity to use much bigger sizing anyways. But whenever I see an overextended short, I'm definitely going to start using bigger sizing, just because if you look at my past trades, I would be up a huge amount if I would have just used bigger sizing these last few weeks. And so it's something I need to work on for sure. But honestly, today, whenever the market's this slow and kind of choppy and there's not really many overextended short setups that I specifically like trading, I don't see anything wrong with using small sizing in that regard, just to play it safe, use a little bit of risk management so I don't end up getting in setups and patterns that I'm not as used to as, say, an overextended short, and taking a bigger loss because I didn't see any setups I necessarily liked. Yeah, 7. I hear the sarcasm in your chat, bro. And 7 with the Discord chat, man. I don't know. We'll see what happens when LFIN resumes. Oh, I get it. Like a hotline, 7. Yeah, I could do that. I mean, honestly, you could just call my cell phone number, and I'll put you on speakerphone and let you speak to everybody if you want to. If you want my cell phone number, just message me on Facebook, and I'll give it to you. I talked to a few people on here. A few people WhatsApp me, and a few people I actually talked to on the phone just about trading. So yeah, if you ever want to talk trading with me, Facebook me your number, and I'll send you a text. I'll go ahead and add my Facebook here. That's my Facebook. So yeah, if you ever want to talk trading with me, if you want to text or talk on the phone with me, there's my number right there. Facebook me, send me a message on Facebook, and I'll message you and text you or whatever. That or Twitter. You can send it to Facebook or Twitter at Beginner Trades. And yeah, if you call me during the stream, I'll put you on speakerphone. Here's my Twitter. Right. 1-900 buy the dip. NLNK, Gary. Yeah, NLNK is kind of the same thing as INCY. Definitely overextended on the downside, oversold in my opinion, breaking over the high of the day. Kind of like it. We'll see. We'll see what happens at that $5 resistance. It's kind of doing the exact same thing INCY did. And I was able to take some profits from INCY to bring my losses down to basically just commissions on the day. But, yeah, I kind of like NLNK. We'll see, though. It's been a little choppy. Yeah, a little weird. It could be no, actually, I mean, we could see a 15-minute halt is the only thing I'm thinking. So maybe wait for 10:16 market time to see if it's a 15-minute halt, which it could be. I wouldn't panic quite yet. Appreciate it, Malika. Welcome. Yeah, I do this every weekday morning. We have our little day trading show here where you can watch me trade. I call out what's moving in the market. I go over what's moving in pre-market, talk about my potential setups, kind of stocks I like the most and whatnot. So welcome. Hope you'll join us on Monday as well. But it's got to be like my trade with INCY. It was a pretty quick trade. Just you can see it's starting to turn back down. So NLNK, I kind of expect the same thing, to get in and out quickly if I would get into it. At the same time, it doesn't have quite as much momentum as INCY did. So be careful. Kind of bummed out. My trade idea was correct on NETE. I got in at 856. And eventually went down to 805, 807. And so I don't know if I would have had the patience to wait for this pushback up to 9, though. And the spread is what initially scared me away. The spread tightened up a lot now. But when I was in the trade, the spread was like 20, 25 cents. And so that's just a huge spread. It makes me a little nervous when I'm in a position like that. And that's why I don't necessarily regret using small sizing, because when the spread's 25 cents on an $8 stock, it's just a little scary. You don't know which way it's going to go. See you, Power Zone. Later, man. See you on Monday, dude. All right, so it's almost 9:16. We'll hope for anybody holding. Yeah, Ford is forming a little bit of a channel here. But yeah, no, we'll see if it's a 16-minute halt. There's 9:16, so we'll see what happens in this next minute and see if LFIN resumes. I did see a few 15-minute halts in the last few months. There was a few that I saw that were actually 15-minute halts compared to 5 or 10-minute halts. And so we'll see if it's that, and we'll see if it resumes. But definitely a little scary for anybody holding LFIN here. Oh no. Appreciate that, Peter. So Peter's updating us. Trading is halted pending the receipt of additional information requested by NASDAQ. And so that's never a good thing, guys. You don't know when it's going to get resumed. You don't know where it's going to resume. And so longs are probably freaking out right now, just because you don't know when this thing's going to resume. You don't know what's going to happen. It could resume higher. It could not resume at all. So thus is why I didn't jump in LFIN. It's just a little too scary, a little bit too crazy of a stock for me. And trading, a huge component of trading is risk management, and LFIN was just a little bit too risky for me. Thanks for the subscribe, OKC. Appreciate it, man. Welcome. Yeah, like I said, I do this every weekday morning from 8:45 market time until about 10:15, 10:20. And so I hope you'll join us on Monday. I know a lot of people are promoting their day trading chats, and their day trading chats are like $100 or $200 a month. This stream's 100% free. We get, usually we get around 100 people or more in here every day talking stocks. Chat is usually pretty active of us calling out movers and stuff like that. And so no need to pay for an expensive chat room. You can check this out for free. But yeah, guys, market's slowing down a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and close the stream down now. Not too bad of a day. I mean, I was able to rebound on INCY with a nice little, basically a little washout long setup, a later high of the day break. You can see INCY broke the high of the day, and this is where I got in. And wrote it up a little bit. So only thing I'm down is commissions, aside from that little 40 cents that I have left. And so just glad I was able to rebound. Took a little bit of those losses off. But yeah, guys, I should have a few videos out this weekend on maybe, talking about me using larger share size and kind of my plans for next week. And so make sure to check those out. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button if you want to see all that. Remember, guys, I day trade every weekday morning from about 8:45 market time till about 10:15, 10:20, sometimes longer. And so if you want to see that, hit the subscribe button. Also, guys, if you appreciate this content and you like watching me day trade live every weekday morning, hit the like button and do me a favor right now, clicking that like button. I definitely appreciate it if you do, and it does help support the channel. So if you want to support us, if you appreciate it, click it now. And yeah, guys, have a good weekend, everyone. I'll see everyone on Monday, and thanks for watching. Have a good day and weekend.